August 14th, 7 p.m. Held at the Emergency Operations Center. Mr. Toth, would you do an invocation, please?
Sure. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with praise and thanksgiving, Lord Jesus, for this community and the communities around us and our nation and our state. We pray you to watch over each and every one of us. Help us, Lord, as we make the right decisions. Hopefully that will be so that it be in your will. Thank you for the rains that we've got. Thank you for the rains that we're to receive. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody's got their agenda. Need a motion to approve the agenda or make a motion to make a change to the agenda.
I so move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our first guest tonight is VML Vaco, Mr. Robert Waldenberg and Scott Helmiak.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I call him Bob, I guess it's okay, but Bob, he approached me a while back and said he'd like to talk to the board and maybe have a partnership in the future with, with Nottoway County, so, he said he would do a little presentation and then give some handouts or something.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll leave you with a handout at the end of this. I wanted to come by and talk to you about VML Vaco Finance, what we do, and particularly as it relates to the courthouse project that you all are looking at.
Give us your acronyms.
Okay, so we're VML, Virginia Municipal League, VACO, Virginia Association of Counties.
Okay.
We're the financial services arm of these organizations. So let's do a slideshow if we can on that. Go up here. If you hit slideshow.
I think started at the top end.
Right, we're on a shared screen.
Oh,
Okay, maybe.
oh, that's right, because we're streaming. Yeah, we're last.
What happens if you hit that and then do from the beginning? Here.
It's not clicking through. She'll change. Can you click on the left side under it? So-
Just click from beginning. It'll give us a bigger.
I understand what you're saying.
We can go to paper. Did you got handouts?
I do. I mean, if we get back to where we were, I think that would be good. Okay. Oh, here we go. All right, good. So, as I was saying, we're the financial services arm of VML and VACO. We're also a registered municipal advisor. We register with the Federal Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board. This is a requirement for anybody who advises local governments on financing capital projects. We have services in 3 different areas. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if this works.
You switch the input.
Or I can just tell you when to switch.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll stay on here for a minute. We provide services in 3 areas. One is financing and municipal advisory, and I'll be telling you more about that. And then also, we manage investments for local governments. We have 2 primary programs, the OPEB Trust Fund for local governments set money aside to pay for health insurance liabilities. And then the day-to-day management of funds, that's through the Virginia Investment Pool. So these 2 programs have grown. They're tremendous now. They're about $6 billion in assets for local governments. We have over 200 participants, local governments participating in those. We also do accounting services. And this is where we'll help out if you have a vacancy on your staff or you're preparing for an audit. We can provide local government accountants with experience in the area. We've done work in Nottoway fairly recently, as a matter of fact. So Next slide, please. So this is a list of all of our participants. It's not completely up to date because I noticed we hadn't put Nottoway County on here, but it gives you a feel for the breadth of the local governments and authorities that we serve around the state. We consider ourselves the most widely used financial services program for local governments in Virginia. Next one. So I want to talk about financing and municipal advisory, particularly because you have this courthouse project that's coming up. Our services, when it comes to financing and municipal advisory, really fall into two categories. One is planning, and the other is execution. Planning is really writing a roadmap for implementing your capital improvement plan or planning for a major project. And execution is managing the financing of those projects by whatever means that you select. When I talk about planning, what we do most often is prepare a plan of finance for local governments. We start out with developing a 5-year projection of revenues, expenses, and fund balance. Now, to do that, we go back and look at about 5 years of history, and then we talk to local leaders, and we determine what's on the horizon that's going to impact the county going forward. And with that, we develop sort of a baseline projection, a baseline forecast for your revenues, expenses, and fund balance. With that, we can overlay onto that baseline any capital projects that you have planned, whether you're using cash to pay for those projects or you're borrowing money to pay for them. And with that, we're able to make recommendations to you regarding how much debt is the county able to afford. And if you have additional needs beyond that, what's the best way to approach it? We'll do that, and then when it comes time to implement the financing, we'll make recommendations on the type of financing vehicle to use and the loan terms and so forth. Usually when we prepare a plan of finance, that includes participating in a work session with the Board of Supervisors or the management of the county. Now, VML Vaco Finance is a nonprofit corporation, and we're governed by a board of directors who are appointed by VML and by Vaco. And our board has authorized grants for mid-size and smaller local governments of $7,000 that can be applied toward this planning assistance. If you were coming to us for a plan of finance, we give you a credit of $7,000 toward that deliverable. That's about 45% of the cost of it. So it's a pretty good deal. We did something like that in Blackstone in the last couple of years. Now on financing execution, next slide. Okay. We will manage the financing of your capital projects regardless of how you go about doing that. That could include municipal bonds, bank loans, government loan programs and grant programs, and also equipment lease purchase financing. Now, our fee to do this is set by our board of directors. And we pride ourselves on being very transparent about that. So when you engage us, we will identify upfront what the fees are that you can expect to pay, depending on the type of financing that you do. We think that's a real strength of our program. On the next slide is a list of our team. We currently have 3 registered municipal advisors, and Scott Heleniak, who's with me tonight. Scott is a new deputy director, and he's taking his licensing exam next week. So we expect we'll have 4 municipal advisors on our team very shortly. And we have 2 managing directors in the program. I'm one of those. And before I joined BML Vaco Finance, I was the executive director of VRA, the Virginia Resources Authority. And that's when we actually started the pooled bond program that so many local governments use today. And Steve Mulroy, his background was in investment banking. So he brings a great wealth of experience to this. Our associate director has a background in commercial banking, and Scott has worked at 3 different investment banking firms, most recently 17 years at RBC Capital Markets in Richmond. So we're very proud of our team. I think we have good expertise. These are some of the recent capital projects that we've worked on. First one is Botetourt County. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this one in a moment. These were municipal bonds that we issued for Botetourt County. In other words, we headed the bond issuance team for publicly traded municipal bonds. We also have done bank placements for counties, cities, towns, and authorities. And we've assisted with state and local loan programs as well. Grayson County used us for financing through the Virginia Public School Authority. Obviously, we have a good relationship with VRA, and some of our financing goes through that channel as well. Our projects, this is kind of these are recent financings, but you get a feel for the variety of project types. The new money financings versus refunding of existing loans, and a variety of pledges, general obligation pledges, revenue pledges, and lease revenue pledges, which counties often use. So that sets the stage, and I wanted to talk to you next about the courthouse project that you all are looking at. So that we're all on the same page, our understanding is that the Chief Circuit Court has identified a number of inadequacies with the current courthouse, and has specifically identified issues with ADA compliance, with systems, with the outdated facilities, security, and safety. And so it's a long list of things. Given that the size of that list, this appears that it's going to call for a major renovation or a replacement of the current courthouse. Where we see this in other localities, a lot of times, this could be a project, $5 million or more, that you may be looking at. So this is a very weighty matter that we recognize that the county is looking at. Now we understand the county has received an unsolicited proposal for design, renovation, and construction of a courthouse project. It's not clear because this is a redacted proposal. It's not clear if that's we're trying to renovate that or if it's a new facility. But you've received that proposal and you're following the PPEA law. So you've gone out for additional competing proposals. So this PPEA it's a good tool. I remember when this was started in Virginia. It's a good tool. It really helps you to fast track design and construction of public facilities. It certainly does that. PPA can also be used for financing the facility, and even in some cases for operations and maintenance. That's much less the case in Virginia, especially with a public purpose project. Typically, projects that have a public purpose, the county or locality will hold on to its authority to arrange the financing for that, and that's because you have access to certain tax exempt vehicles that a private developer does not have. You have access to lower cost financing than they do when it's a public purpose project, not necessarily in a taxable economic development type project, but for the project that you're looking at, I would say that is the case. So if we go on to the next page, this is how courthouses are typically financed in Virginia. And I'm talking about counties now. So for counties, typically the county will use its IDA to serve as a conduit issuer of debt. Now, VML Vaco Finance also has an IDA that we've used on occasion on behalf of local governments. But if you have an active IDA, that's generally where the county will go. The instrument of financing is usually a tax-exempt lease revenue bonds, which can be issued for 20 to 30 years. The way this works basically is the county owns this facility. And so you want to transfer your rights, essentially your rights to the facility to the IDA. And that way we can structure this as a lease where you're leasing the facility from the IDA while those bonds or that obligation remains outstanding. So that could be a lease obligation that you enter into for the life of the debt, 20 or 30 years. And the amount of lease payments that you're making are sized so that they're just enough to cover the cost of the debt service on the bonds. It's a way that counties often finance projects because you don't have the authority like cities do to just authorize a general obligation bond here at the governing body level. So this still gives you access to a very attractive financing. Now, the security in a financing like that will be an appropriation pledge with moral obligation. So the IDA is pledging, its stream of revenues for the project. The county is also pledging to make appropriations for those lease payments. Technically, it's a non-binding, obligation, but no county has ever not honored that in Virginia. That's why this mechanism works so well. So you're making that pledge, and you're giving your moral obligation. You're basically morally obligating the county to continue to make those payments. You can further enhance the pledge by setting up a debt service reserve fund. So at closing, you fund the first year of debt service in a fund. And then subsequently, you use that debt service fund to make the debt service payments. And then the county replenishes the debt service fund as you go. That gives bondholders, if it's bondholders or a lender, the security of knowing that the next year's debt service payment is in the bank. It's already sitting there ready to be paid, and it gives everybody about a year to plan if there are problems, if there's economic disruption or anything along those lines. You have about a year to work through those issues. The placement of this kind of financing is through a public sale. That could be municipal bonds. It could also be a bank loan. It kind of depends somewhat on the size of the project. The larger the project, the more economic it is to issue municipal bonds as opposed to going to a bank. So you have to weigh those things. You also will look at the credit strength of the locality. The stronger a local government is, the more feasible it is to do standalone municipal bonds. And then in Virginia, every locality has access to the VRA pooled bond program, which gives you the cost effectiveness of municipal bonds, but you're doing it in a pool with other localities. And then the state's obligation, part of it is a moral obligation to back those bonds. So that's why that mechanism is used frequently in Virginia. You may also want to consider interim financing. So while the project is under construction, you may want to have a source of interim financing to cover those construction costs. And then at the end of the construction period, you take out that interim loan with permanent financing. That way, you're only borrowing what you need as the project goes along, and so the amount of interest that you're paying is going to be less. Some localities choose to go ahead and put the financing together at the beginning of the project, and then if they want to, and this is especially a good option if it's a revenue producing project, they can always capitalize the interest or basically borrow the interest for the first couple of years until the project is complete. So those are different ways, different things to look at in the financing. So the key responsibilities of a municipal advisor, if we were selected, say, to advise Nottoway County on this courthouse project, the first responsibility would be to participate in reviewing these PPEA proposals that may come in September. We would also review assumptions in those PPEA proposals regarding fees, interest rates, and other items, so that you're doing an apples to apples comparison of the proposals. And even if you only have one proposal, you may have one already, you still want a financial advisor who's working on your behalf to really go through that proposal very carefully and review all of the assumptions that have been made in the proposal. Now, we also would develop a plan of finance for the county. So we take the estimated cost of the project and we would load that into our projections for the county so that we can make recommendations to you on the best way to go about implementing this, to financing the project. We also make a comparison and recommendations concerning the permanent financing that you use, whether it's municipal bonds, bank loans, DRA. We assist you with the loan structuring. It's things like, what's the best term? When will the loan mature? What pledge to offer, the amortization structure, call provisions, timing. There's just a lot of different issues to work through. And then finally, we would assist you in executing the financing from one of those options that are available. So BML Vaco Finance has refinanced well over $1 billion in projects around the Commonwealth. And these are three that I think are similar to what you all are looking at right now. One was Stafford County did a public safety building using PPA. This was one of the early PPA projects in the state. They did this through a pooled bond issue with a lease revenue pledge. We also managed the financing of Lexington Rockbridge County Courthouse. It was a $27 million project. It's a pooled bond issue with a general obligation pledge. And then more recently, the Botetourt County Courthouse, we put together as the lead on the bond issuance team, a $31 million financing using a standalone bond issue. This was a lease revenue pledge. And Botetourt County had not been in the market where it had a bond rating. So this was a first time rating for this county. And so we worked with Botetourt. We did a financial forecast for the county. And then we went with Botetourt to present this to Moody's. and Moody's gave them almost the highest rating you can get. They rated the county AA1, and this particular financing, which did not have a general obligation pledge, so it was a notch below that, a AA2. They were delighted. We were delighted. The underwriter was frankly surprised because he told us we should probably expect something in the A range. So this worked extremely well.
Could you define general obligation and moral obligation?
Okay.
What's the difference?
Okay. So general obligation is full faith and credit. So you are obligated under the Constitution of Virginia to make good on any debt that has a general obligation pledge. That means you are really obligated to raise taxes if necessary to make good on those payments. Towns and cities typically can give that general obligation pledge just when the town council or city council votes to do it. In a county, it's more cumbersome to do. There is a referendum requirement, which means the county generally has to plan about a year in advance to do this in order to educate everybody and to go through that process. It's just not feasible in many cases.
Excuse me, right there, when you're talking about the year's time and you're talking about going through that process, is that after we have like selected the contractor or is that?
It's a year before you want to do the financing.
Okay.
I would say.
So there's no construction at that point, probably.
You could do the interim construction.
You could do interim financing if you're hanging your hat on that. There's still uncertainty in whether how that's going to work out. So it just makes it difficult. It's more complicated. It's a great vehicle to do the general obligation because it's a very strong pledge. And you get a very excellent interest rate. Where you see it being used in Virginia is with the large localities that are doing financing year after year. And so they can queue up these projects and then annually, they have a referendum. For localities that aren't frequently borrowing, it's not unusual to look for an alternative to this just because of that process.
Which is the moral obligation.
Yeah. So general obligation, full faith and credit. Moral obligation would be structured the way I was describing. You're really structuring that as a lease. And with the moral obligation, the county is pledging to ask for an appropriation every year in its budget for the debt service. So that is an obligation that you will, that maybe the administrator will ask the board for its approval in the budget every year.
But it's typically a lower interest rate.
The interest rate would be a slightly higher.
Some of a general.
The general would be somewhat lower.
Right.
Yeah. The stronger the pledge, the lower the interest rate is going to be. Having said that, in Virginia, this moral obligation lease revenue pledge is very commonplace. And I would say most localities are using this because it's the most practical way to go about financing.
Can you define lease revenue pledge?
Yeah. So
And going along with the moral obligation? Sounds like to me what you said earlier was it's funded and then we go back and lease it.
mhm,
The locality goes back and leases. Is that not what you said?
that's right. Yes, that's right. That's why you have a third party involved. The IDA is involved. So it's called a ground lease where you're taking the building. You still own this building, the courthouse, even if it's not constructed yet.
We'll sell it if someone wants to come.
Maybe the judge will find it. So you own the courthouse, but you're transferring. It's called a ground lease, where you're basically transferring your rights to that building to the IDA. Okay, and so they have that ground lease until this project is fully paid off. Okay, that means that they're then going to set up a lease with the county, and you're going to make lease payments to the IDA. Now,
So
what if,
if you become delinquent in the lease payments,
okay, what if that happens?
Mhm.
If that happens, then the IDA could be compelled to kick everybody out of the building that's being leased and lease it to another party. Now, that's difficult to do with a court.
right?
That's a difficult thing. So there is an element of good faith here.
That's the reason it says moral obligation.
Yeah, it's moral obligation because, you know, what I've come to learn, I'm working in finance in Virginia for many years, is that Virginia is almost in a league of its own in terms of credit quality, strong financial management. The state has had a AAA bond rating longer than any other state in the country. Consistently, it's never lost that AAA rating. And you see among localities in Virginia, we have more AAA localities than maybe any other state. It's just part of the culture here in Virginia. So, and part of that's why investors, they like buying Virginia bonds, and the rates that we pay on Virginia bonds tend to be a little lower than most other states because the credit quality is considered so strong. So yeah, it's a moral obligation, but I think there's an understanding that in Virginia that really means a lot.
When you talk about the interim loan too, do y'all provide those interim loans as well?
We can, yes. Well, we can arrange interim financing
Okay.
for you. A lot of times that might be through a bank.
Okay.
So we do, you saw our list, we do a lot of bank placements where we use an RFP process to get quotes from banks across the country. That's how we would approach that if you need interim financing.
And you said y'all was nonprofit, and $7,000 grant would be roughly 45%, but that does not including assisting in the interim financing and looking over the proposal that we have on building it.
This
Would be
that would be
$15,000 flat fee, or is that upfront fee and it goes by percentile after that?
that's for the planning of the project. So that's what that entails is a 1-year retainer where we are at your disposal for a full year to assist you on this project or frankly any other financial project that you're working on. It also includes the plan of finance.
So securing financing and everything else is included in that roughly $15,000.
So the financing itself, that's the execution part of this. And for that, our fee would be based on what our board of directors sets these fees. So it's going to depend on what you choose. If it's a municipal bonds versus a bank loan or something else.
Roughly what would be the difference in the two?
Okay. I thought you might ask that.
Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. You can answer that.
No, just go ahead.
No, fair question. So for municipal bonds, and let me say, I've seen localities pay for a financial advisor $100,000 to do a municipal bond issue. Could go higher. We have a fixed fee up to $20 million is $25,000, $30,000 above that level. And that's the most challenging financing for a municipal advisor because you're really heading up a team of professionals and you're arranging the pricing on the bonds and dealing with the underwriter on the marketing of the bonds and the bond counsel. You're reviewing documents. It's a pretty intensive operation.
All right, when you say that's for the first full year, how long does this typically take? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years with the advisors before, I don't mean this to sound crazy, before we don't need you anymore?
Yeah, well, we're serving at your pleasure. Right. So with a 1-year retainer, maybe we can get this project underway in 1 year and then we check out and, check back when you have other things. That's possible.
Okay.
That's possible to do. But just to give you more color on this, if we went with VRA, which could be a very good choice for a project like this, we have a flat fee for financing over $5 million. This would certainly be over that, $9,500. Again, you're not going to find anybody coming close to that. They won't be coming close. But again, we are an arm of the Virginia Association of Counties. We're here to serve all of you.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? All right, thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Steve will circle back, check with you in a couple weeks.
And I very much appreciate this opportunity. We would love, to work with the county on this. So, look forward to hearing back from you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, agenda number 5, Ms. Norton as vice chair. I need you to lead this discussion. This is, I have to recuse myself because of my employment. You sit here.
Bobby, you. Bobby at the table.
Bobby,
I also have my colleague Todd.
come on.
Oh, I thought maybe it was your husband or something.
Oh, you said number 5 here, but you meant number 4, correct?
I'm sorry, yes, number 4, Rocky Ford Solar. Again, I'm recusing myself due to my employment.
Hey, do you want? No.
Shall I pass this out again?
Yeah,
Okay.
but that'd be fine. I think to work out, Bobby's gonna take all her maps back though, right? Exactly, okay.
And they're different.
Yeah, so get one of each.
Yes, they are one of each, currently in each package.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's different.
Yep.
This is one.
Two are different, and
Okay.
then those two are different.
Okay. Do it different. Oh, that's right. Got a key one, so.
I give you 2.
Daphne only has one. Okay, sorry about that.
You said these 2 are different, so I got them both correct. Mine-
That's correct. Okay, and these two are different. Let's see here. You should have, it says P2, and then concept. P2, okay, P2, please. And so I think you have, P2.
I got the thing with me.
Yeah, you get it. And V2 and concept.
Here's, one second. And I think you have a.
I'll back that up, Bobby. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. And then Sarah, I'll give you one, just so you can follow.
I guess we need to add on, Bob, I asked Bob to come into the work session because you're in the 11th hour. That'd be a fair statement.
We are, yes.
Okay, and, so action needs to be taken soon. I would say, well, I'll let that
Who
go.
said that she had the Trump administration?
Yeah. It could be.
They know.
Yeah, so the deal with the 11th hour is because we have an interconnection deposit that's due in October, mid-October. And our finance team is breathing down my neck to know if this project is viable or not. Because it's millions and millions and millions of dollars that we have to put up to for our interconnection deposit. So that's where we are. I also have my colleague Todd. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Todd Chalmers. I'm a civil engineer, professional engineer. I specialize in land development. I've done created thousands of plans for thousands of lots in Chesterfield County and the Richmond metro area. My office is located in Chesterfield County, and I'm really here to speak to any of your concerns about erosion control, water quality, really as it relates to Crystal Lake and really anything I can assist with.
And he's not from Timmins.
Okay.
He's from a company called Westwood.
Yeah, but we're currently called Balzer Associates. We were just acquired by Westwood. Westwood's a national company, still working on our integration, and we'll fully be called Westwood here at the end of the year. But Westwood's a national firm, number 6 in the Engineering News Record and solar projects. So we have a really deep bench of solar experience. And then I personally, and my local firm, have a deep bench of knowledge of land disturbance in Virginia.
And we also have Tito on the line who can help with any questions or guidance. Tito, can you hear us?
Hey, Tito.
Tito?
But you know that landline. Your service is made the property. You
Maybe
in the window.
Yeah, sorry. I was on mute. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, we're all here. We are both here to answer any questions. I know that last time we were in this room with Supervisor Ingram and Supervisor Collins, that they had some questions about water quality and how we're gonna mitigate any risk to Lazaretto Creek and the town of Crew and everybody who drinks that water. So that's why Todd's here to say a few things about the measures that we can take to help with that.
Okay, to start, since Mr. Collin had recused, could you give a little background to the folks, the board members at the table understand this exponential growth of this project? A lot of the general public does not know that this project has mushroomed from the Tatum project to much, much more. So could you give a little explanation of that?
Yes, absolutely. So what you see in front of you are 2 different site plans. One is a 50 megawatt scenario, and that includes the same landowners as the other scenario. So we're working with Mr. Tatum, who is part of the northern cluster, as also a bond property. And then we also have many different landowners that will connect via easement from the north to the southern cluster. And on the southern cluster, we have Laura and John Jenkins, and also a few different Jennings properties. But yeah, the difference in the 2 are really the setbacks. With on the left side of this, under the legend, you can see that one has 300-foot setbacks, which of course everybody knows is in your ordinance, and the other one has 75. And the difference being that we can have a much bigger, we can be more efficient in our land use if we have what other counties use as a 75-foot buffer, which ultimately means doubling the amount that we can give to the county as far as financial incentives via the siting agreement and revenue share.
How many public hearings would have to take place before adopting the 75-foot?
It would be the planning commission and a board supervisors hearing. It would be multiple votes within the board supervisors hearing.
Mr. Todd, if I could add to that, they'll need to do, excuse me, a 2232 review, like any other project, public utility, and that can be worked out through the siting agreement process, if I'm not mistaken. But there's also what I typically do for public facility projects is take it to the same meeting, which I'm doing next Tuesday for the HAMI. And they're going to have this special review first, and then if they approve it, the planning commission approves it, then they can go on to hear the request.
Would that happen next week at our regular
Yes, sir.
board meeting? Okay.
Yes, sir. I sent y'all the packet, corrected revised packet yesterday morning.
Okay.
Not the regular board meeting, but just the planning commission, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm not-
You said regular board meeting.
I did say regular board meeting. You said planning commission too, the regular
No,
board
just,
third?
no. I was told very black and white. We're only going to hear it 1 month, and then the next month y'all get it at the board.
Okay. Thank
But
you,
I
Mr.
did
Taylor.
send out a packet, a PC packet to include the board. Keep you all in the loop.
Okay.
So another part of this is that, as part of our studying the lands, making sure that we identify all the wetlands, so to say, 100 feet from any of the buffer, the streams, we will need to add, we will need to add more landowners to this project, potentially one, but it might be more than one. So there is a potential that we will add more landowners, which means that this preliminary site plan will look a little different before it gets to you again.
I got a question for you, Bobby.
Mhm.
You got property setbacks currently at 300 foot and then the other one 75 foot, but the easement area acres doesn't change. Does it use the 75 foot to change the easement area acres? Wouldn't that change it?
No, so the easement area is just running like a 3-phase pole down it, so we don't really, unless you know differently, Tito, we don't have a setback. Well, we will have to avoid any wetlands that we experience along connecting the northern to the southern cluster,
Okay.
but there won't be any setbacks particularly.
So the difference you see, a significant difference is fence from 472 acres to 858 acres going back to the 75 foot setback. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
I had the same question about the easement, but the easement are just on parcels that connect them, so that those parcels aren't changing with the setbacks.
How safe is the perennial stream buffer going from 250 to 100?
The standard,
In the other counties is
Right.
100, is that where they come from?
100 is required by the state of Virginia.
100 is required by the state of Virginia. And according to the topography of the land, does that determine how many water basins you gotta put in?
Yes.
So just roughly how many water basins if we carried this to the 75 foot opposed to the water basins at the 300?
Well, it's not that we necessarily need more per se, but they're gonna get larger.
The basins that's there will be larger.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To treat that, we're doubling the square foot of area that will be, and so we'll have
Well,
to.
obviously, the water basin takes active use of the landowner being able to use that land. So do they get paid additional money for the larger the basin,
Yes.
such as it would be under panel?
Yes, sir. It's more encumbrance on the property.
I see.
Ask a question, Bobby, what's the estimated, megawatts under panel? It's at about, 800 to 80 to 90?
The acres under panel,
Yes.
I
I was just looking at the fencing because you're required the security fencing, security fencing around the perimeter of the sites. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, for the fifth, so yeah, we have the fence line acreage in here, but under the panels, we don't have that information on the
Okay.
plan, but I can give that to you, no problem.
Okay.
How far usually is it between the fence and the panel on the perimeter side? Just roughly 40, 50 foot,
I think it's 20.
20 foot from the panel to the fence?
Maintenance corridor.
I got you. So you get a bush hog and all that around through that. What's the name that I can't ever remember, Bill, the agro,
Oh, agrivoltaics?
yes.
Mhm.
How does that work here? Is that gonna be applied in it?
I don't know, that's a question for you, Tito.
It may not be suitable land up there.
I don't know, but I would love for it to happen.
Tito, you fell off the bucket, or you there?
No, I'm letting Bobby handle it. I don't wanna dim my lights.
Okay.
He's doing a great job. But yes, we're definitely gonna consider agrivoltaic, sheep grazing, when it comes time during O&M. And, we're gonna factor that in part of the O&M plan.
I don't know
Yes,
that
we're
on the
always
northern
looking for
side
that.
it would even be considered, because that's,
Like because of the wetlands?
yeah, kind of from the wetlands and this, from knowing the area of the former Jenkins dairy, it's a lot more open land there that they may want to put some livestock underneath the panel. And they may not, I don't know. I just was wondering if it'd be optional to them.
So Bobby, let me make sure you know what our goals are here. So what you're looking for to make this project happen, A couple things need to happen, from what I understand from some of the meetings we had. The definition in our zoning needs to change, the definition needs to change, under public utility to add the definition of solar, right? All right, put that in a box for a second. Is that Greg, is that a separate public hearing?
Yes, it'd be a special exception request, be a text amendment to change the definition of public utilities to add.
Okay, so but my thing is, okay,
Yes.
there's two things, the two things they're asking, I think, right, Bobby? And the other would be to change the Jenkins place is already agriculture, to change the Tatum area, I don't know where it stops and starts, from rural residential rezoning to what?
Conservation, because I believe
Conservation.
if that's a compatible zoning district, we don't want to create a spot zoning. But generally speaking, we have rural residential, and then moving outward, we have conservation.
Conservation, yeah,
Yes,
so it won't be spot zoning. That's what we're trying to figure out. But
We'll
this
look
is
at
where the rubber meets the road. When does a setback decision need to come in? Right now, that the setbacks ain't in them two public hearings.
Right, so we're hoping to have some direction tonight, ideally.
That can't happen, honey, I'm sorry.
Well, I think what she means is having direction on how we need to handle that as far as the meeting goes.
Yeah.
That's what you're speaking of, right, Bob?
Yeah, we, up to this point, we've been doing 2 applications in tandem, a 50 megawatt and a 100 megawatt, and that's a lot of application. And so before we submit our application, ideally before the end of this month, we would really like to have a path forward to see if we should stick with the 50 megawatts or if there's a path to 100 megawatts.
Bob, in the lawsuit, you ask for more and get less. Stick to your asking for more, hoping for more, but accepting less. So stick to the 100. I'm just giving you my 2 cents. You still might have to settle for it.
Realistically, when is our next planning commission meeting?
But I think what they're looking for, that did happen in September for the planning commission, in October, which is,
But that's gonna push them on the deposit.
well, from my meetings before, if we can prove everything in October, it's okay.
The one thing that might affect our application timeline is that
It's that-
the setbacks, but also that it's looking like we're gonna need more land because we're studying the land currently, like wetland delineation and such, and the more engineering we do, the more the engineers say we need more land. So that could impact our application timeline, which we might not be able to get it to you.
Is there an extension you can file for the application timeline? Or for y'all's October deadline? Yeah.
I don't think so, Tito. That might be a better question for you.
No, that's governed by PJM. We don't have much discretion there.
Would it be possible that they proceed with this application as it is, with the understanding they're looking to add some additional property, then bring it under a separate application?
As long as it meets the setbacks, I don't see why it wouldn't be.
That'd be phased. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it will have to be phased no matter what anyway. If directionally the county is interested in going ahead with the 100, we'll have to phase that other 50 anyway. So yes.
It'd be separate public hearings. It'd have to go through the planning commission and the board. of
Just
supervisors.
to allow this one to roll forward, get clarity on the setback.
Yes.
I advised, or when I spoke to Green Erlanger, Jared, I told him that part of that setback discussion would probably be best settled in discussion of signing agreement, just so the board knows that.
Okay.
Yes.
Captain, I'm trying to understand this. So what you're saying is that they need a public hearing. You would do that in the signing agreement.
Yeah, I mean, there are 2 ways to go about it. It's the waiver route to get setbacks, but they're looking for less than 300 acres, so
Right.
under 75 acres. It was recommended. I spoke with Jared about it, and we believed that the best route to do that would be not through the special exception process, but it would be through
Right.
a signing agreement process.
Okay.
So
Based on based on the ordinance, sorry.
right, so the 75-foot reduced setbacks would be language that we would put in the signing agreement, and that vote would ultimately be for the siting agreement.
Correct, yeah.
Which would help the process, right?
Yeah. Speak as a person's going to write, yeah, it will. You'll expedite the process somewhat.
Yeah, I guess just the specific setback issue would not require it in and of itself.
I'm just curious, how many acres under panel is the 100 roughly?
I only have numbers for the fence acreage, but I can get you and Greg the under panel acreage.
You really need to know that. The fencing acreage, for those who are listening, they can't see, 858.7 acres. And then the project limit is 1,450.6 acres. But there is a gap between the Tatum and the Jenkins Gymnast. Is that what you're talking about filling in with additional projects?
No, well, the parcel that we're considering adding to this project is south of here. So it would be likely just extended south, which would be an A1 designation. So that would be one of the.
I think the connection depth between the two is just going back easements for transmission lines only. That'd be no fence, no solar,
Correct.
just transmission line.
It would just be like a regular power pole that's connecting
But
the,
it'll have the big three.
it'll be a 3-phase line, just like a regular.
When you say regular in the sticks, we talking about one pole with two little lines. You talking about one pole with three, with a cross on it kind of.
Right, not the big transmission.
So
Right, not the big steel transmission, right, steel wood. Okay. So Greg, you know what we need to do going forward? Catherine, you advised to put it in the siting agreement?
The setbacks, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to do going forward.
would be my best advice. But
So when is
what
the,
you guys do is up to you.
so when is the siting agreement proposal gonna be given to us, and what publicly, that still gotta go before, would that still have to go before the planning commission?
The signing agreement, I don't think so.
That's a
That's
board
a-
position.
Yeah,
That's
that's only
negotiation.
board negotiation, and then once you,
Does it, since it changes our 300 foot to 75 foot, does it gotta go with public hearing for the board meeting?
I mean, it'll be it'll be part of the application. The signing agreement will be part of the application, so that goes before a public hearing.
Okay.
There's a certain amount of change in it, wasn't there, required another public hearing?
I don't understand your question. What do you mean?
All right, for like, from what I, and,
From 375,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's like, if it increased or decreased a certain percent, it wouldn't have to be because it's basically within reason, but now if this is, I mean, we're talking a 225 foot difference.
I don't
Seems
think
like we
that's
went
it.
through this question one time before on something else.
Yeah.
Whether it be better or less,
Yeah.
more or less.
Right.
Mr. Work, I can look, let me look for it
Okay.
tomorrow.
All right.
I think it's, I ain't gonna say what I think.
Monday.
I have a
Myself
question.
and y'all.
You say something south of this site, where you talking about? Right
I,
across the Nottoway River?
no, I don't have the specific, we're still early in negotiation, so I don't have the specific.
So you wanna, my question is, we're in the queue right now. Can you add that thing later to the queue?
We would, so our interconnection application right now is for 50 megawatts. We would file another interconnection application for 50 megawatts. So it would be the 2 phases that.
But your 100 megawatts is within these two right here already, correct?
We would need to, that's part of what I was trying to explain earlier, is that we would, now that we're going through the engineering process and doing all the wetlands delineation, we're finding that we need to add another parcel.
Somewhere south of this one.
Really anywhere that we can get it, but it's looking like because this is A1, this is the better section 2.
So how many megawatts, if you added to it, depending on what you need, are you talking about between then essentially 3 different parcels? 3 different.
It would be adjacent to what we have currently. So it wouldn't be like another cluster that's,
Like this, it would be nothing like this.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it would just be like, yeah, it would just be something that is adjacent to either this cluster or this cluster.
So it's, when you said something south of here, it's not gonna be another cluster site.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll just be another parcel.
You thought that too, didn't you?
That's exactly what I
I did
thought.
too. Okay, so that's not what it's gonna be. Okay. All right.
Well, if I can ask then, what is one like this if it's not another parcel?
It's a small, she's talking about what the engineer's talking about, a small.
Adjacent to one of the other.
It'll connect, it will abut up.
Okay, but
next
we're
to it.
saying a small what?
Acreage.
It'll be like maybe another 100 or something acres of a parcel that's connected to like this cluster here.
Fenced in with panels, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So it could be up to 100 acres. So it could be that, it could be 1,000, but a while ago they said it was already, what, 1,400?
1,400 for the total project, right?
And we're still within that.
Well, that's the project limit.
So they'd be under that, even if they had another 100 acres.
Some of this stuff happened, and this probably has nothing to do with you, but I want the board to know, because I know I mentioned it to one of the meetings, because I found out later. Across from the Crew Cemetery, go south, you'll see one of those dots, and the yellow dot, it says electric substation. Okay, and I asked the question, this power is going to that substation. Town of Crew is asking for a boundary line adjustment to take over that substation.
And we said last time in the meeting, the reason they was asking that was because of it.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, we know that. We might not want to say that, but we know that. I know that.
But that is what
I'm
we
some dumb, but I ain't plumb dumb.
I didn't say a thing, bro.
You just give me that look.
But anyhow, all right.
So we gotta be conscious of that, what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll take a look. That's another issue we got to deal with.
I think Ms. Rodriguez and I need to have a few conversations, maybe a Zoom meeting or something like that.
Sure.
For the next week or something like that. Sooner the better, right?
Now, the other thing I want to add to, I think, Dickie, you had asked if we would have to reapply for the additional 50 to get to the 100. The original interconnection application for this particular position was actually 100. We downsized in the spring as a way to appease the county and make the project footprint a little bit more attractive. And we already have indicated preliminary studies that there is plenty of headroom there at 100. So that's what's given us the confidence to even propose stepping up. So we were initially at 100, we came down to 50, we can go back to 100. So it's there, we know. But we're waiting for feedback from you.
So what do y'all need, 100 or 50?
No, we can, I wouldn't propose going more than 100.
So you like to, y'all would like to have 100. These landowners would like to have 100 to utilize their land.
They would, I just spoke to Mr. Dennis Tatum earlier today. He asked if he should come. I said, well, maybe not tonight, but he wants us to use as much of his land as possible because that's ultimately more money for everybody.
Especially for him. Yeah, well, it's his land, you know. I'm gonna go see if he rent me a little care if I try to. All right, is that all?
Yeah.
I would like to address a concern that I have, and John, I'm sure as well, is when you look at the designation for the FEMA flood zone, that runs right along Lazaretta Creek that feeds the town of Cruz water supply. So what can you help us build our confidence that this is not going to desecrate the town of Cruz water supply?
All right, Pat, this is your time.
That's a great question. That's why, one of the reasons I was invited here tonight. So, as I mentioned, I work in Chesterfield County. I'm not sure if you guys are all aware, but one of the big reservoirs in Chesterfield County is Swift Creek Reservoir. It's in a very intensely developed watershed, thousands of lots. And what we do up there is we offer elevated erosion sediment control measures to help soil quality. We increase all our sediment basins and traps by 25%. We provide super silt fence, the wire back strong silt fence adjacent within 25 feet of an environmental feature. We also provide anion PAM, which is a polymer application to denuded land that really keeps it from eroding. The water just kind of, it tightens the soil so they don't want to detach and run off. Next here as well. We minimize disturbance to steep slopes. those four things have created a very successful program in Chesterfield County to check the reservoir. It's really hallowed ground there. And that's what we propose to do the same thing here.
Thank you for that explanation. Anybody else have questions? Speak now if I have a whole piece.
Tito, did you want to say anything else before?
No.
Great presentation, Bobby. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, thank you.
You want these back, you said? I was gonna sell mine on eBay, but I'll give it back to you.
So the courier?
Is it the board's pleasure for Mr. Greg Zodi to go ahead with the two public hearings? One to put the definition of solar under utility public and then change rural residential to conservation?
Yeah.
Okay, make sure, I mean, that's what the whole that's the purpose of the public hearing, is let the public speak.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure we got it. You got it.
We're not obligated to anything about letting the public speak. Okay.
If we don't get it going, we're not gonna make it.
No, but I mean, that's what I hear.
And, as far as the site entry amount, Jared and I are gonna probably send something to you next week so we can talk to you.
Okay. I'm gonna need probably, and we'll put that on new business tomorrow, next Thursday. I'm probably gonna need a committee, and I know it won't be you, with to talk about that site agreement. So me making that decision.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna probably lose you, Catherine, because that's very negotiable.
Thank y'all again.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
I'll pick up at number 5.
All right, let's see. Number 5, Aviation Industrial Park Blackstone contract changes. Mr. Bowman, Mr. Vanderbilt.
All right, I think I felt tension behind me, so Philip B must be behind me somewhere. Come on a bit to the table, sir. Just kind of, Mr. Chairman, I think we had a possibility of an agreement of selling property to the town of Blackstone. Our attorney has looked at it, made some suggestions. I think it's gone back. And women, the board sent in some suggestions. We'll discuss as we go through. And then I think, Philip, y'all's attorney has kind of took a look at it, and maybe has added something else. So we'd like to walk through that and make an agreement if we just can close this contract.
We need to sheet that from. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and I appreciate you giving us an opportunity to speak with you. I do have 2 handouts I'd like to provide to everybody. The first of which, I've received a call from our mayor, who had a conversation with some folks about the possibility of not selling the property to the town and in exchange having a lease for the property. I think we talked one time before and we had indicated the Department of Aviation didn't want to, because they only participate with property that are actually owned by the town. And as a result of my conversations with the mayor, I had a conference call with John Hart, who's an engineer with the Department of Aviation. And he did provide to me in writing that, and I apologize, all right, I'll read it to you. I apologize I did not get this email to you sooner. The Department of Aviation does not participate in lease property or any improvements made on property that is not owned by the sponsor. The town of Blackstone would be the sponsor in this particular case. Second handout I have for you, and I assume you guys have copies of the lease with the changes that Gary had recommended that are in your packet.
Copies of the contract.
As a result of that, when I received it from Andrea, I provided our attorney with a copy and asked him to take a look at it. He and I both concur that the changes proposed by Gary are fine. However, there needs to be some clarification on the reversion clause. I think the town recognizes a reversion clause.
That's on page 3.
Yeah, it could be, it is appropriate. We did not have a template to work from because the county had never required a.
This is a result of the Gomez purchase when nothing has happened.
So in that lease, and I'll read to you, I think the other changes were fine with Julian, who is our attorney. But if you go to page 5, excuse me, it's page 4 on mine. Yeah. And I think there is a reversionary interest and it had a 5-year term. And I think that doesn't cause us any concern. I just think there needs to be, and Julian thinks there needs to be some clarification what that means.
So the 4% interest, that's added in, that's a really good thing.
And let me say this, Mr. Roy's suggestion was 2 years. I want to know, but they didn't, don't seem like that was a reasonable amount of time.
What was sent to us was the 5 years. The 2 years is time because there's a lot of water improvements that need to be made. We got to go out and borrow money. You heard the presentation. We've been saving money to do utility improvements in that area. Our contractual agreements with Fort Pickett now dictate that we set aside $200,000 a year for utility improvements with prioritized areas. And ironically, the most I&I or inflow and infiltration racked part of our sewer system is at the airport. In addition, we have some pressure issues at the airport. If you didn't know, none of the federal buildings out there have fire sprinklers. But they're federal buildings, so they're waived. And, you know, your building official doesn't go out there and inspect federal projects. And so they don't have fire sprinklers in any of their buildings out there because of pressure.
Nor does none of their vehicles have a DEF that's required by the general public to have one either.
Could very well be, yeah. So, we know there's water and sewer issues that need to be dealt with, and we're saving money. We've got, by agreement that we save $200,000 a year to work on the utilities out of Fort Pickett. But as far as the definition of the reversion clause or the refinement of the reversion clause, I think what you had in there was fine with the 5 years, and we recognize again that a reversion is necessary so we don't run into a Gomez property where someone's going to speculate. And I do think that you'll see that property ultimately sold for vastly more than ultimately what you sold it for. The 5-year reversionary clause makes sense. Julian, and I will read this to you and those in the public. And I came up with, if within a period of 5 years, so we're staying with the 5-year period, the town fails to make improvements to the property, utilize the property for aviation activities, and we can refine that further by saying manned, unmanned, or however you want to do it, or sell any portion of the property, the county shall have a right of reversion and fee simple title to the property shall revert back to the county, provided the county pays the town the purchase price, obviously, and a 4% interest per annum. If the town takes any one of the actions described in A, B, or C within the 5-year period following the closing date, the county's right of reversion shall extinguish. For purposes of this section, improvements mean any permanent change made to the property that increases its value. And clearly that would be a utility improvement or grading, stormwater improvements, that sort of thing.
Oh, wait a minute. All right, it says, if the town, you listen to Ms. Douglas,
Yes, sir.
if the town takes any one of the actions described in A, B, or C within the 5-year period following the closing date, the county's right of reversion shall be done away with. So if you improve the property by getting a tobacco grant, you clear it, you've met one of those criteria. So at that point.
No, I can't say get a tobacco grant,
Well,
but actually do the work.
yeah, just forget about the tobacco grant, any kind of way you may do it. Just say clear the land. I just think of tobacco grant because I'm doing a few of them, try to do myself.
We'd have to make the improvement.
So any improvement made, such as clearing the land, then our 5 years is done. So if Gomez, if we did have this with Gomez, and he went out there and cleared the land, waited another year and sold it for $300,000 more than he paid for it.
I don't think clearing the land is necessarily.
That's an improvement.
I think stormwater improvements is an improvement.
Well, then we need to specify that.
That's fine. You can make it more clarity or refine it however you want to. That's
Because
fine.
making an improvement, you can go put bluebird houses up and that's something more than the half.
I get it. And you know, running a drum chopper across it
Ain't no big
ain't
improvement,
improvement.
but them bluebird is
I
habitat
get
for
it.
humanity.
And we can define that and refine that. We
So
know what we're trying to
Make
say. You know what we're
substantial,
trying
make
to say.
substantial utility or infrastructure improvement.
I like that. I'll sell any portion of the property. I like that.
I don't think you need to give examples. Give examples. You want to
I think just infrastructure.
But you need to specify a more than make improvements to the
And
property.
that's fine. You can,
Because that could be a court case. I can see it now and say, well, we did make
Well,
improvements.
we intentionally left it vague,
Mhm.
so we could have this conversation tonight.
Okay.
About what we needed.
and we're certainly agreeable to refining.
Yeah.
What needs to be done.
So does that mean another work session meeting, another month strung out before we get
No.
our $650 for the citizens? Well, I mean, we need to go and get this done.
If we can make these changes y'all agree on it tonight, I think you can
We
give
can
me the
authorize-
authority to go ahead and sign the contract as soon as they make the adjustments and.
Do we have to vote for this on a regular board meeting?
This is gonna go to a public hearing.
Okay.
Once this is signed, this has conditions to it that you guys have to transfer to us with clean title and warranty and all that kind of stuff. So selling public land is gonna require those kinds of things. But that's during the study period.
What does, excuse my ignorance, and fee simple title to the property mean?
So it just means free and clear of any liens, encumbrances.
So that's the
They own the
terminology
entire
in
thing.
fee? I've never seen that.
That's real estate terminology.
In fee and simple title, I've never seen that. Okay,
I bet your deed says it.
it might, I don't know if I looked at it.
Can I ask y'all just something for my clarification? Do you think Bo was stupid? Y'all can really see stupid.
I know I'm stupid, they don't think it good.
So when is the next county's reassessment, real estate reassessment?
3 years now.
Yeah, so it'll be 2020, I think 2029, I believe.
We voted to reduce it to 4.
Wait, what, it's after y'all's term. Right.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's after y'all's term.
All right, so, all right, now, when I sound like, we're gonna take your money, okay? I just want you to know that, that's why I asked the question, because we're gonna take
We're
your
going
money.
tonight.
Yeah, things on you. All right,
I
so,
got it sitting in the bank, burning a hole.
all right, so just for clarification.
Put it in escrow.
All right, the citizens of the town of Blackstone are spending $651,000. Okay? If the county buys it back, okay, that's 651,000 plus the 4%, that the entire county is gonna be purchasing it back, including the citizens of Blackstone. So potentially,
So they might get it twice, you say?
yeah, and plus they're gonna pay twice because they pay taxes twice. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying. That's one of my reasons for submitting the question about this was, why can't this be a simple sale? And if it's purchased back, give the money back. I mean, it's just without all the, I understand the improvements. Yeah, all that makes absolute sense. I mean, because if it's $1 million in improvements, then we need to pay you $1 million.
And you've got a first refusal also.
Of those improvements.
Well, if we turn around and say, "Boy, we gotta sell this thing to a daggone gas station, or we gotta sell it to Wawa or
Right.
something, we need a fire sale."
Right.
Y'all get first refusal on an appraised value on that property.
Of y'all.
Any sale that's non-aviation related.
Right.
And I like that because this
I
is
do
the
too.
purpose of the project is not to speculate and sell to a daggone gas station.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, and that's the same, because once the real estate is reassessed in 3 years, then of course the value of the property goes up.
Oh, yeah.
And if, of course, the reversion is gonna include that as well. So that's just,
The reversion doesn't have any kind of an appraisal value. It's just the purchase price and 4%. However, if it is a right of first refusal, that has an appraisal value.
okay.
That's
After you
based on
made the
appraisal.
improvement.
After you made the improvement.
Because otherwise, you just get a different appraisal and use another comp, and it may be worth more money and the county has to pay more for it.
Well, you're gonna have, what it calls for is the county to get an appraisal and the town get an appraisal, and I guess you average them out or agree to which one you're
It is, it would be the average.
going. Average.
All right, then the other question I had was something else that I had sent in. And remember, we're gonna take your money. Okay?
Simple.
We're gonna take your money. But the one thing that concerns me was in the rewording of the one that we got back was the, y'all will get an evaluation and we'll get an evaluation in this, average of the two.
For a right of first refusal purchase.
All right.
If, like I said, we're gonna sell to daggone stockyard, and it's not aviation related, you guys can come up and say, "Oh, you can't sell it to us."
Because that won't any agreement.
That ain't in the agreement. We would like to buy it back, but you have an appraisal, we have an appraisal on the right of first refusal.
Is this agreement, would this agreement be, recorded, Kathy? As in the clerk's office?
Well, actually.
You can do
probably
Yeah, it
not.
should be a covenant in the deed.
Well, you can
It'd be in the deed, right?
Yeah, you would record the deed and then usually rights of first refusal are recorded, so that would be probably.
And I think the
Because you
reversion
can take a
would be
lease on
recorded.
farmland and correct your courthouse and record.
I mean,
It's not typically done.
would
but
record
it
it,
has
just
been
to
done.
show that it's encumbered.
Right, make it public.
Yeah, but I
Public at
don't,
that point.
like the reversionary clause would be included in the deed.
I got
A right of first refusal is usually recorded. So those two issues are going to be public record regardless.
So any
I don't-
title search would locate those items in the deed.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, and I'm sorry, but I lost the track of where that was, and Philip, I apologize, I may be in a different spot where we're reading all this, but, so, you say that, evaluation is in the reversionary, it's
No,
not
it's in the right of first refusal section,
Right.
which is on page number 3,
three.
right beforehand.
I was just making sure because of course, like I said, again, with the real estate assessment in 3 years, this is going for 5 years. If that's the case, and I just want to get clear on this, but if that is the case, then we are effectively would be using a higher assessment. We're both getting assessment values, but we're not doing that now. I mean, there was a comp, but the county hasn't basically got an evaluation of it. But this contract is saying that both parties get in the appraisal and find the average of the two.
Are they coming back to us?
Right.
If you buy that.
If it comes back.
Right.
If it comes back.
I don't want it to come back.
I don't either. I wish it always had.
So.
Because we ought to be done spent the $651,000 towards some improvements that we're required to do, and we can't pay it.
Right.
So I don't want it to come back either.
It's not our plan to get the money back. Now, you gotta remember where the source of the money is too. Okay? The source of the money, we sell a lot of fuel out there.
Well, I kind of thought that it may not, when we talk about
And we are
it's
obliged,
still the tax people's money.
it is the
The
people's
public's
money.
money, but I don't think it totally arrived from real estate
You got,
taxes.
it's not
Some of
necessarily
it for
real
profit,
estate.
I think.
Right.
We sell fuel to the military out there. And we have a contract to sell that military fuel. We have a contract this week. There's gonna be people doing air surveying and that sort of thing. And literally, we expect to sell several 100,000 gallons of fuel.
So
Not to the military, but on the general aviation jet fuel price,
700,000 gallons.
several hundred.
Oh, I think it said 700,000.
Yeah.
I heard, so we're gonna see tanker trucks like log trucks for long.
When the military, when the Marines are out there, you better get out the way because they're
Mm.
coming in fast and furious. Now, I do think ultimate sources of funding are going to be grant funds from the Department of Aviation because they will. When we bring them a client or we bring them a prospect, we are eligible to apply for the purchase price of the property. Let's say it's 10 acres and we want to sell it for $10,000 an acre, $100,000. We can apply to the Department of Aviation for a 90% grant for the purchase of that, and then we would supplement 10%. So there's plenty of sources of funding out there. And selling fuel to the military, when you see those helicopters flying, we built a baseball complex in Blackstone,
Free.
military fuel.
Right.
Department of Aviation said, don't do that again. But
Supposed to stay
we
on there,
did. I
but-
can tell you, when we were flat broke in 2011 and 12, that whole facility was built with fuel money.
All right, I think everybody, any more discussion? Okay. I think we voted, we just want consensus for Mr. Bowen to be able to sign once the changes are made. Okay.
Yeah, you voted in the work session.
All right, I'd like a motion,
And infrastructure, I think.
I'd like a
Yeah.
motion,
Have that language, I can add it and send it back to you guys.
I'd like a motion to authorize Administrator Bowen to sign this contract on behalf of the board once the infrastructure language is changed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Honestly,
Bowen.
and we are really enthusiastic.
I like it better when you leave in a nice mode.
Oh, nice one.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'm going to call Kristen.
Thank you, Philip. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock.
You can have your life out.
I wonder where the good stuff was. You know, cheap cans.
Good.
Hope you got enough. See ya. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
See you all.
Thank you.
Do I have to dial 9?
Yes, sir.
No, you have to now fall behind it. Start with that.
No, it kills them.
to give it to you, but I'll take it anyway.
Ms. Christie?
Yes, it is.
Hello, you are on speakerphone for your part of the discussion. This is item 6 on the agenda, tax incentives for fire and EMS volunteers.
How is everybody?
Good, how are you doing there?
Love it, love it.
Good.
Got a headache, but Steve got me some time.
You're looking at 6A in your package, folks.
Yep, I got it.
All right, so what the emergency services and fire asked us when we talked about the new tax levies was that if volunteers could be exempted from them. And the reasoning for that is because they already spend their own time and money volunteering for the organization, so they're contributing kind of like in kind. And some of the other citizens are going to pay the levy to help. At this time with the emergency squad, the levy is not affecting the budget for fire at this time. It may in the future, next year, 2 years. We don't know, but it is in place. So Ms. Hudson got us some numbers, and if I get it wrong, you let me know. This was not in the budget this year, so we couldn't do a huge amount of money, but this is not. This is something we can do, and I think it's not going to be a problem. We exempt one vehicle, so that's 100%.
That's 100%.
So they get a no personal property tax on one vehicle that they use for emergency services or to drive back and forth. And we do not assess any levies to volunteers on anything they own except businesses. The county will not collect $36,346.62.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's our number we've been looking for last 6 weeks or so. We've had 2 discussions about this. So board members, if you want to discuss, and then we'll give her guidance. She's got to get this over with too. We got to finish this business.
I got a question, Christie. On the $36,346.62 that the county would not collect by giving them one vehicle to exempt, did they tell you which vehicle they was using? Because vehicles, I imagine if I were them, I'd want to use the highest vehicle I own. Is that what y'all did? Did she ask y'all? Or?
Yeah, so I get a roster from the chiefs each year, and there is a vehicle listed on there.
Oh, so that's how you came up with the ticket by that vehicle. Okay.
Correct.
See, Bo, this is also their homes too. You see that?
Yep, on it.
Okay.
Yep.
I think it's a small amount for the service we get provided.
They don't even cover one salary.
That's what I'm
Not for
saying.
one person. I did a whole.
Yeah, I think Christie had some language in there that this small contribution doesn't even compare to a salary, maybe starting at, I think we saw Amelia 58, you're advertising at 58.
But if we go to the all ALS and fire and EMP split, it's gonna be closer to 7.
All right, so this will go in your board packages for next Thursday. Is there any other discussion?
So the board is looking at just one vehicle completely exempt.
Correct.
Yes.
Which is better than what it is now.
No, I just want to make
They're
sure.
exempt from the levies.
And I mean, my personal preference would be to get rid of all the personal property for all.
Well, I think we can have that discussion for budget next year. I'd like it to be all of it. That way we can attract every retired firefighter and emergency service person, get everybody moved around.
The only thing of it is that would show, it wouldn't benefit the old volunteer that don't never buy a new vehicle except every 10 or 12 years.
Well,
That
we
might encourage them to stimulate the economy.
yeah, might go by.
Maybe.
All right, Christian, we're gonna take this to vote next Thursday.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You didn't give her time to say, my bad. She likes to say, my bad.
All right, this number 7 was requested by our finance committee, Ms. Norton and Mr. Ingram, finance discussion.
Well, it comes timely since we met with the gentleman from BML Vaco and talked about our future financial concerns. And Vicki and I were talking, especially since we have the fund emergency services. as to, and I talked to Logan and got a really good response today of where we're at moving forward. And he really got us stay on top of this, considering the money that's gonna start going out. I found it really interesting about these IDA funds that you talked about with the gentleman giving the presentation, because aren't we gonna use that for the animal shelter as well?
You'll be,
Potentially?
yes, but you'll be, what he was talking about is you'll do an annual funding
That's right,
To it.
to it.
that's right.
So the money that was already there
Stays.
was paid, no, it was paid in because they had financed a building and now the owners of the buildings have paid back in. So now the buildings are no longer owned by IDA, but they had $2.1 million.
And that money is, to clarify, is invested in a good
It's-
investment.
but it's coming out.
option.
But it's coming out to go
It's
to
coming
build the animal shelter.
That's right.
Coming out a little bit at a time. Now, how much are we
Right.
taking out?
It's over 200 and some thousand that I know. That was the last payout, so it's actually more than that now.
So I think I've talked to a couple of you about this, but we have sold timber this year. We've sold land, and I think it's about 600,000.
That's what it, that was 191.
Well,
Yeah,
the two,
one
the two houses,
Some of that tenant money you put in,
grants.
grants.
right, but that came back,
Yeah, we just sold,
that already came back.
we're gonna sell property this coming week.
So my suggestion, of course, I'm one person, is that capital go back into the IDA.
Yes.
That's gonna pay down your animal shelter. It gives them money so that if we get a project in other parts of the county, the IDA has the ability to participate again.
And how much money is that IDA? I don't have the figures in front of me.
It was
Around
2.1.
2.1.
Yeah, 2.1 million.
So the federal government gave us the LRA as an economic driver for the county. And at this time, it has not been because the improvements have gotten so old and expensive. So if we can turn that into cash, put it back into IDA and then do something new elsewhere, I like that.
I do too.
And something with that brings me to the next thing. I have been looking at some numbers, and Steve, I remember you said that we were off the county and the treasurer are almost 3 million difference, perhaps.
I'm ready, but I quit.
I
thought it was
found it's 2 million and something, but I found that today that the treasurer previous
That's this
and
report.
today, the IDA funds have never been recorded in Bright in the revenue section. It's like a separate
Black hole?
spreadsheet.
Yep.
We,
So-
we have asked the auditors if they wanted us to put IDA in, and they advised us not to, because a lot of the other counties do not put it in their systems either. They do it separately. So that is all done by treasurer. We don't do any of the accrual, not accruals, any revenues or expenses or accruals or anything for IDA in our system
And isn't that,
whatsoever.
Logan, similar to the ANTC also.
Correct.
That's not in the Bright system.
Correct.
So I think when you add the two together, that's the money difference that the auditor and Tammy, the treasurer, it's different. And that's
Well,
So we can
but
see
that's-
more.
what it is.
But the auditor said in the email that I have that he got his numbers from the treasurer.
Yes.
But that's,
So-
but his
So she didn't give him the
number is
figure
lower.
of that
I
yet?
don't, that's why I had, and Andrew had been working very hard and Logan together to give you that spreadsheet because something's not right. We couldn't figure out what's not right.
And that, I think, maybe if y'all reach out and talk with each other, you're gonna find that that's probably what it is. Those two.
Well, if they advised her not to put it in there.
That's right. They told her not to. put
But if you
it
look
in.
at the,
No, it wouldn't be in our system. It should be in our audit though.
Yeah, because that would be for the.
It's asset of the county.
to the public.
Yes.
but if you look at the audit from last year, it shows that we had $16.5 million. And it says it does not include
LRA.
LRA and ARPA, right? It didn't say anything about the IDA.
But that's a looking point. I'm just bringing that out because it's mighty close when you add it up.
Okay. That's what I'm kind of confused in. Why can't, when the auditor's with our treasurer, why don't they get clarified with each other? I mean, that's what, when the auditor comes in our office, we clarify everything. So I can't figure out.
I can't
What?
speak for her, but that's a point I wanted to bring up for y'all to maybe work on.
Well, maybe if Sonny's watching that, I answer probably is.
All right, is that it, Ms. Norton?
If you have anything,
Oh, I don't think so. You know, my concern was when Steve said something about he knew how much we spent and how much was budgeted. It looked like to me we spent less than what was budgeted.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean,
and
That's
we
good.
won't be able to get that number final, like you
Right,
said, until the auditors make some accruals and adjusting entries and all that. So
We
won't
should,
get
we
that
should know,
number.
really get a good feel of that probably in November or December.
Well, I was gonna ask her, she wanted me to speak to the email that I sent her, because
That's
not
fine.
everybody
just
was
thinking.
on it.
we
Okay.
So
should have some money floating around.
for governmental accounting, you have 60-day accruals after the end of June that you have to accrue back to the previous fiscal year. So if you've done any expending during any time between July and June that comes in August or September, July or August, we have to accrue it back. So at the end of June, I can't give you actuals for anything because we still have that 60-day window that we have to accrue back and show that we got that revenue or those expenses paid out or coming in. So after we do that, then we will present the accrual listings to the auditors. And once we present the accrual listings to the auditors and they say everything's okay, they will give us their adjusting entries, which could be moving money from one fund to another or just tidying it up a little bit, but it's called auditing entries. And then once they give us that, we'll post them. We'll send them the documents back showing this is what we posted. They will verify that everything that they see is matching their books. And then that's when they will go to finalize the books for the audit. And then that's when y'all will get the audit books to show the actuals and the income and revenue and everything. Because like I said, right now, we're still in that 60-day window that we're still accruing stuff back. Mhm.
Makes sense.
But is there a way you can kind of give us a preliminary? I know it won't be full, preliminary of like how much we pulled out of reserves, Steve.
Well, you know the end of August anyway, right? Because that'll be the end of the 60 day, or say the end of September.
I was gonna say, near the end of September, yes. Because they were, when I talked to them at the audit time, when they came the first time to do their preliminary, they said by mid-September is when we can close June, we'll have our audit entries, our accruals done, and then that's when they can start to give us their stuff and then fix it to be finalized.
Fixing it to be finalized is maybe moving some around to, like you say, clean up.
Yes.
You need 50,000 over there, you take it and then put it over there. So by getting the preliminary, I don't think it's gonna answer us no questions if they gotta move money around and get it clean. Unless we want them for whatever reason. So if Sonny requests them, then tell him to come up here, never mind. We don't need to be paying you any extra money to stay over there low when you get it, is what I'm saying. And it would take extra time, I think, my opinion. Word.
All right. Ready? All right, item 8, fire tax levy clarification. I had a meeting down at Blackstone with fire chiefs, and there's been some confusion among our citizens as to what those, the fire levy and the EMS levy were. And there's been some social media posts that were ugly after a good call. And so they asked me if there was something that we could do to help them and the citizens understand the fire levy and the EMS levy. So Andrea, very kindly, in your package, like you guys have, I don't know if you guys have seen these yet. I sent them to Zach.
What page are you on?
You're on
8A.
8A and 8B. And so what you've got, there's a pie chart, and this one is, it's a little confusing because the pie got bigger. Okay, so you have to understand that the numbers stayed the same for fire. EMS, their part of the pie went up, but the pie also got bigger. So the second page is very dramatic. If you look at the next, that's a bar graph, and that's very easy, good illustration. So I told Chief Bears and the others that were there with me that we'll put this on our website. And that way, if a citizen's questioning what that levies were, they can say, go check it out on the website. It'll show you exactly where the money's going that we collected in the levy. And what'll happen is annually when the levies are set, because those can change every year. So if fire next year, just say you need 2 full-time people. You say, okay, that's going to cost $200,000. So then they would move. Their bar chart, they're going to rise. But the citizen's going to be able to see that. Okay? Is
If
that,
their bar chart rises, the other one's gotta fall. And
Well,
go
the
with the
tag is-
well, it's fire or EMS. So if EMS, if you guys have fixed EMS, then yes.
Mr. Chairman, I want to say, what we run into is that we're trying to explain it to the public, but it's hard explaining it in words. You know what I'm saying?
Visually.
So-
Look at that.
So I do know y'all get a lot of criticism.
That's the school.
Yeah, yep, so that's where your money is spent, and it's, so if you look to the left column, Andrew, I appreciate you taking time to do this, and Logan, and y'all make sure the stuff's in the right system. But I know y'all heard a lot of times, y'all just cut back the county administrator's office. We are 1.29% of the budget. But your big boy is right at the top. 68.17% of your budget goes to school.
This is great.
That's right. So
This is great.
Andrea fixed that because I know you get criticism, but can you cut this? Can we cut this? But look at the big picture of the pie and you'll see what we're
And
talking.
68, I bet you make 68.17% of the taxpayers in Nottoway County don't have no children in that school. But it takes a village to raise a kid.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But it seems like it takes a village to put one in prison and provide him housing too.
But that's something
And that
that,
ain't even a kid.
that's something we may want to put on the website
I will put it there. This is
Yeah,
great.
put it there.
This is
and
great
say,
information.
hey, so you really get a clear picture where you, and let's see what the landfill, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
You know what? What if you put it in their tax bills?
We could do that. I didn't
Solid
see
waste
That
is
cost you some
2%.
money.
Well, it's
Yeah,
also,
so
we'll just put it on the website.
Yeah.
Website
Hey,
be
how
free.
about the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 anyhow, the last is 0% of they now out of business. The magistrate, commissioner of accounts, the medical examiner, they done, they don't get no money.
Now, when you round it off, it goes to zero. I guarantee you that. We're trying to get a percent.
Well, they got it-
$50 against 50 million.
But they got one just above that 0.01%,
Yeah, but that's 6,000.
281, yeah.
Yeah, they're in order.
So you telling me that the coroner gets less than 6,281
Evidently,
and the magistrate gets less than that?
$50 is what they get.
It must be some state funds paid them.
It probably is.
I'm sure the magistrate gets state funds.
But a big one that we cannot control that goes out, because I know that you as a board has asked me to work and stop the bleeding, is jail detention.
Yep.
I can't stop the bleeding. Social services, I can't stop the bleeding. And Child Services Act, I cannot stop the bleeding. And I think Ms. Norton is part of that group that has to do that. And there's so many things you can't.
I did see Superintendent Townsend today from Piedmont Regional Jail. There's only 8 of the DCDR folks in our system. Whatever noise we've been making,
They're working.
been working.
Cool.
Very good.
That's very helpful.
So your tax levy's got fire in it. Their budget didn't change from last year. It's got EMS. That was the big change. That was the big request to run the extra squad. And then Mr. Hyde's budget moved across to the levy side. And
And
that's
that's pass-through money.
And there was it's
Define
past,
that.
it's pass-through money, and then there was some training or maintenance money for our fire building.
Right.
We assigned them in the budget, so that goes into his, shows up in his
It's
side.
maybe that it's not coming really from the levy, we moved the money
From,
over.
from the general fund.
But like the sheriff, I asked Andrew, could we take out all state? It would be a mathematical nightmare to do that. You look at the sheriff's department. I mean, there's some money there. There's a lot of money there that comes through the comp board, but then we pay a lot of money too. But see, we furnish vehicles, equipment, stuff like that. See, that anyway.
Steve, with the school money, you know, with the schools, there's federal funding, which I'm hearing a lot of their federal funding programs are getting cut. Are we still gonna have?
Well,
to
I heard,
match,
well,
or what's
listen, I
that?
heard on the news, I think it was, that most of the federal funds have come back. I think that's one of those, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire.
Then let it go.
I heard the same thing. I heard
All
it
right.
may come back.
I think it'll come back.
Anyway, I thought the pie chart was good. I know,
Yeah.
Mr. Roy is very fond of pie charts.
I
And
love
that,
them.
he inspired me to get Andrew to do that.
He and I gonna exchange them on our businesses. That's right.
That's right. That's right.
But it does speak volumes. That's what I'm
Yes, it
saying.
does. That big blip. All right, Mr. Rourke, number 9, you had some courthouse discussion?
Yes, sir. Just a couple things, guys. I want to at least say that we thought about it and considered this. All right, so the judge did not give us an amount to spend, right? Right. So what is spent on that courthouse is gonna be our doing, board supervisor. That's what we're gonna agree on to pay, pass on to the system. All right, here's a crazy thought. What about putting a not to exceed amount on it? So my thought process would simply be this: ask for a stay on the current judge's order and fix the time frame. You already heard about the financing here. We can work that financing agreement through that. So you ask for a stay on the current judge's order, and in 9 months' time, you give them 6 months back to the contractors, back to the people to say, you've now got 6 months to draft the remodel for the current courthouse, because you and Dickie were right on this the whole time, bro. Do that building now, and put a not to exceed amount of $10 million on it. And to finance this for 15 years.
I don't think we can legally do that, Catherine. Can we?
If we get a stay,
The judge is not gonna grant you a stay.
because what I'm trying to avoid is paying for 30 years. All right, bear with me for a second. Let's say, all right, let's back up a little bit. And Bo, you're 21 years old, okay? You meet your wife. You have a child next year, okay? Let's put this into context. You have a child next year. Your child goes through school, goes through college, and potentially, now wants to come back home and have a child. You know what happens in that whole time frame there? From a child that's not even born, graduating, going to college, coming back here, maybe starting a family of their own. For 30 years, they're paying taxes on the damn courthouse.
It's unavoidable, John.
Oh, you talking about the child coming back?
Yeah, coming back. That's what I'm saying. We're talking 30 years. I mean, we're talking tens of millions of dollars. You heard me the other night, $25 million.
Only thing I'm scared of is, not scared of, but faced is, let's say you build a house.
Mhm.
I was told when I moved my house, by my uncle who moved it, to put a basement.
Right.
It came off basement. I said, man, the house got 3,200 square foot. I don't need no basement. He said, that's the cheapest square foot you can get. He said, you already got a roof, dig the hole, let me put it on top of it. I said, I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna spend the money on a garage. I didn't build a garage, go put the basement in. So having said that, I'm saying this: if we gotta secure funding to hire these people to get it for us, it's like not doing the sheriff's office. I don't want to spend one more dollar on it, but the sheriff's office is a chicken coop. The judge ain't got nothing to do with what we do with the sheriff's office. We can tell the sheriff it's pouring on your head over there, but we ain't giving you no money to fix it.
Right.
It's been the can been kicked for 20 years on maintaining or making an improvement, and now it's coming to bite us in the ass.
Right. And what I was talking about was a 9-month deal. 9-month deal. So
But
basically,
then we gotta go back to finance. You know what I'm saying?
But
We
what
gotta
I'm
go
saying-
back to paying that man his $15,000 more dollars.
but you already know
I know
what
what
the
you're
county
saying.
is willing to spend. The county's willing to spend. So what you need to secure is up to $10 million. That's it. So
I don't think it's gonna be enough.
You can't do it. It's gonna be virtually impossible. We're looking at now, in the general district court, the judge's roof fell in on him. I mean, what are you gonna do? We know what's happened in the
Yeah, that
past.
was the yes, right.
Why we're in the basement here is because we're trying to save money on the health department, and we're stuck in this corner. I remember when it was built. I mean, I remember when a lot of this stuff was done. It's just like at the schools, the same thing. You pass the buck, you don't keep the maintenance up, and the next thing you go, you got a roof falling in, you got leaks.
Foundation
you
getting
got
away.
that's
You got
right.
mildew in the basement.
You got mildew in the basement. I mean, and this, to me, let's do something right in this county.
I agree. John, I see your point though. I would rather take the steps in doing things, but I don't know that it can be done this way. I just don't know that it's logical.
We're not kicking the can. I'm giving a 9-month time frame to get to work over there. And they're talking a year in talking about securing finances. So which one's quicker? I mean, so let's not talk about time frame here and kicking the can, because this would be quicker.
Yeah, I'm talking about the 20-year can.
Yeah, and here's the other thing on the limitations. If you know what you're spending, you could potentially roll this into the other debt or the radio tower, 15 years, and we know what we're paying.
But you can't anticipate down the road the economy's gonna change, the prices are gonna
That's why
go
I'm
up.
talking about doing this. If you finance this for 15 years, what are they talking about financing for? 20 to 30 years. Why are we gonna put 5 to 10 more years of interest debt on our citizens? Come up with a limitation, put a not to exceed amount on this project and put a time frame to pay it off. Let the citizens know what they're looking at instead of worrying about spending another year. Ain't the cost gonna go up in a year waiting for the finances?
Well, one thing you can do is if you was gonna do a 30-year mortgage versus a 15-year mortgage, you do the 30-year mortgage. I didn't do this, and I should have done it on a couple of rental houses. They said, well, let me finance it a little longer. I said, I ain't financing that thing on long. I want to see like the end of the time.
Right.
Well, you got to do a little work to it. You get some vacancy that you didn't anticipate on. Then you wish the payments you would make it on that to be based off of 20 or 30 years instead of 15.
Right.
But you can always pay it early and no penalty. So we can pay it at the 15. We can budget it for the 15. But the years that we might have to give some tax relief to some maybe seniors that we have a hardship application that they feel like they're not be able to service that debt, we need the extra cushion to be able to go a little bit further.
Right.
You know, and I hope that's where we can get to. And I hope economic development.
John, you're talking about a year, so you're talking about the general obligation having to do the referendum.
Right. No, that's right.
So then that's why I had you guys them give you definitions. So like the radio's a moral obligation. We didn't do a general.
Right.
It's just a moral obligation. That's how we said it.
But tell me if I'm right or wrong, and John, that's this might not be what you're asking, right? But Catherine, part of the advantage of the PPEA, once we pick a partner in that PPEA, an architect, we can set how much money we want to spend. But we got to figure out how we set that. But when you set that, you still got to meet the code of Virginia of how to build that courthouse.
Correct.
That was I considered this. My whole thing is when you put this back out there with a cap, you're saying we need this building brought up to the security concerns and the
And this is
state
what we got to
code.
spend.
Right, and this is what we got to spend.
Oh, that.
Yes, it's a not to exceed amount. Because if it's $25 million, guys, that's our fault. That is our fault. If it's 10 million, that's our blessing to the citizens at this point. I mean, we've heard this man say,
If it's 10 million, it's still our fault because if they'd done what they done 15, 20 years ago, we wouldn't spend no million.
you're right.
So either how much we spend, I was like looking at that guy's figure, bottle top was 30 million. And I don't know how extravagant. I mean, we're not asking for no big $200,000 in here.
So to be completely transparent, I want to say this. You know, the reason why the previous board, which I was on there 15 years, didn't do a courthouse, because we didn't get a court order.
I understand. Now you told me that.
And I don't know if you would have done it if you didn't get a court order.
Well, I don't know. I mean, do you get tires on your vehicle? Do you get a ticket for not having inspection, or do you get it maintained? But I see your point.
Right.
But you ain't got court order.
A lot of people, I don't say with previous board, but it was 2006.
I'm talking about 20, 30 years.
I can not figure out how we got by with not meeting the requirements
Of ADA.
of the ADA.
I think the
That's
time.
30 years.
I think the timing because of the recession in 2008, things that people understood, and then I think COVID had something to do with.
No, I'm talking about ADA. ADA
All
was
right.
passed in 1990s.
So Mr. Rourke has set us
Oh,
a goal for discussion right now. We're still in our PPEA period. And then once that's over with, have we received any other? I know you got some phone calls.
We've had, we probably gonna get another proposal and a possible second.
Okay. So when we'll have three. And that's when we decide, okay, we're gonna do X, we're gonna do Y, we're gonna do Z, we're not doing this. So that there'll be further discussion. Are you happy with that?
Yeah. The one thing I would just like to make sure we're taking back from this is that
We give it all we can give.
you're right. Do we think sinking $10 million in that building $10 million cannot bring it up to state code and the security concerns? I think we can.
I think we can specifically to that building, but
That's
I don't think we can to get the commissioner of revenue within our lease time and the treasurer back out of Blackstone like we so badly want to do it and fix the sheriff's office and over there to also the chicken coop for the circuit court clerk and the general district court clerk. And I don't think 10 million will sniff it. And I think if we don't, but that's where you talk about 9 months later.
Right.
But I think if they're doing crews and we already got to secure financing, they're gonna have one crew digging the foundation for a courthouse, another crew remodeling over here.
I don't know, man. I started so many projects and don't never finish none. I think we've all.
Well, and to your point, when I went back and said, Dickie, I feel like strongly that you and Dickie were absolutely right, digging a foothold in that building, and I tell you why. New building, and you're in it, right? We built, I'm not gonna say a Taj Mahal, we built a new building so the state, we can funnel money to the state. That's what these courthouses are for, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, because that's his family.
That's right. All right, so then let me ask you this. You still got a dilapidated building. How much you gonna sink into it then? You see what I'm saying? You fixed two problems, but you still got other things to do. I get that. Throwing a full complex, I mean, they're talking about a courthouse building. He's talking about a courthouse building, $25 million. But y'all are talking about the other stuff too. He's not talking about those other buildings.
Oh, I am though.
I know you are, and that's what
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying.
ain't talking about just courthouse, no point.
But we need to talk about the other buildings because they did a space utilization study and showed multitudes of problems in every office that was never addressed. They did the study and set it aside.
Well,
Yeah, now you're going right. Now you're going right. Because if you're gonna go bigger than that building,
Might be 18.
you gotta start talking about the whole complex thing then.
Yeah, okay, guys, all right, let's, we're still in that 45-day period, so there's things we gotta wait.
Right.
Okay. So, Chris Page down at Blackstone had called me last year, I guess, or the spring, about USDA and grants for counties that have to build courthouses for people that have less than 20,000 citizens. So on page 10.
I thought it was 18. Oh, me too. And I thought it was 18.
So it's Kristen Jackson. She's our CRC director. So I went ahead and followed up with her on July 30th and said, hey, we've received the PPEA. We've moved a little further. What's the timing and what do we need to do? So this first email was not very positive. In fact, it says that he's not very positive about this grant or the loan opportunity. So that, I was like, well, okay.
Hey, I know one thing I just thought of. I wanted to ask that fellow today, assisted in the grants. You know, he secures finance.
Yeah, they probably would. Yeah.
I wanted to ask that. I forgot.
So this grant is 15% of whatever the cost. So that's pretty substantial money. So then she got a second response. He seems a little more optimistic than the gentleman that I talked to on the phone. Please let me know if there's anything that I can do to help. I hope you both have a great weekend. So she's suggesting that we go ahead and apply and get in the queue this fall. And so I want you guys to say yay, nay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not a vote. This is just we're agreeing that we're going to, yeah, so that we're going to apply for whatever grant funds that we can get through the CRC.
Whatever grant fund.
Yes.
Because I just seen something could be as high as 30.
So Steve, Dickie, Greg's not here.
Right.
But we need to start working with Kristen and Logan. There'll be some financial stuff that we need.
Okay.
So, and I think she was talking about November. It might be in this one of these emails.
And well, I guess some of these grants will be, what is it worth? 68,000, something like that. I'm just curious.
No, this would be 15% of the total cost.
But there's another one too. I'm looking at.
Oh,
That's what I'm reading in there.
You talking about the 35%?
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, you know, I don't know how I don't know, I'm not very politically correct, but you know, that we're not accepting that. So stop telling me how not to and tell them how to.
well, I think this is federal money, so I think it's all part of what's going up in DC. Everybody's
But he
not
also
sure.
They don't know where they're gonna get it now.
He also notes that grant funds, federal grant funds are very limited.
But I think if we
Hey,
apply,
that's that first one.
if we apply this
Look at the
year,
second one.
and then we have to apply again next year, then at least we know how to do it.
Right.
And apply.
All right, so that's our,
Well, I always bring back my little farming experience. And a lot of the federal programs work on your ranking on other things that you do federally funded and regulated, such as fence your cows out of a water trough, out of a pond. Then that opens the door for you to get GPS guided to your crop field. But you gotta be ranked. And not a way, it may be a ranking process.
Yep.
We need to invite one of these USDA people down here that knows these grants.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea, because, you know, do they have one that they can assign to a local?
I would say they got a caseworker.
That's
Are you
what I'm
talking
saying.
about a representative for them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to invite them to the website.
Okay.
Plus, it gives them
Yes,
opportunity to get some extra money because they get paid while they come down after 5 o'clock. I like to stimulate that guy.
All right, so we are gonna apply for whatever grant we can. Number 11, future landfill development, Mr. Rourke.
Yes, sir. All right, so, I know we had some discussions, back and forth amongst us and everything for some time. What I would like to, ask you guys is because, like we've discussed, anything, nothing's getting cheaper, we need to find ways to cut. Can we, two things, can we, create a committee, a landfill, construction committee to start looking at possibilities for land? If we're gonna go to continue to bury our trash, transfer stations, and can we get, TRC back down here next month, to answer some questions? And have a,
Get who did? Oh, yeah.
Arkansas Management Company. You will see on page 11,
I think one they didn't make it.
this goes to,
Yeah, Ernie was doing it.
so page 11, this goes to our discussion about what remaining ground we have.
Right, so y'all asked me to fill up the cells what we have, and so for 30, I got a guy coming in, I think next week, and, he is going to survey all 5 cells, and he's gonna put a stake in the ground to tell us how many feet we can go up, and yes, you can uncover it, doesn't hurt anything.
Right.
We got that question answered, and then we gotta come along, let's say the little stake says 10 foot, we gotta put a piece of PVC pipe over it, probably 12-foot piece, 2 feet in the ground, 10 feet sticking up. So when they start throwing that trash in, we're gonna go all the way to the top of that PVC pipe. And he said, I'll let you know how much longevity that would increase cells 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So without doing that, you don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
So
don't
John,
know.
until we have that number, we
Right.
want to have TRC. I think we need to, if it gives us another 20 years,
All right, dude, but will this guy be able to tell us, once we uncover these caps, how much more we're gonna have to be posted into the landfill, closure? All right, 'cause
He said this thing wouldn't, I mean, that's what, I can bring him, I figure when he finished, we'll bring him back up here, but what he's telling me is, it's just gonna give you more time. I mean, you actually fill in what you are licensed to do.
so we
Without having to
already,
lie.
we already set
That's all
aside the
right.
money.
Yeah.
We've set aside money
That's,
that we haven't used, that we didn't need to, because it's not filled up yet.
right, and that's what I wanna clear, because because remember back in 19, when we were building this current cell that we're using right now,
Right.
we had the old cell open and still dumping there while they were constructing it. So they hit us for 2 open cells. That, you know, it was almost $300,000 we had to put in there instead of the $150,000 that year. So, yeah, and Mr. Rourke, Mr. Ryan Rourke, he told us, he said, that's because we got essentially 2 open cells. So if we're still dumping in this one, and we start taking the tops off, wanna know, because like he's saying, if we've already paid for the closure of that cell, should we be incurring any additional costs if we?
He said no, but he told me no,
Okay.
no, you're not cutting. In fact, there might be and I don't like to use people's name, but it could have been a previous landfill, the person who was in charge of that landfill that did not compact like he should have. Think about that.
Therefore, it didn't.
That's right.
So that spent time out of it.
That's right.
So over time it's settled.
Right. And I will say this, Bill Solomon will say that right there, that chair, he said to me, he said, I'll be glad to tell you more. He said, I've met a lot of landfill operators. I don't know anything about Gary as far as anything else, but as far as operating that landfill, he does know what he's doing. Anyway, so.
Packing it like it.
Like packing like it's supposed to be. And then he has to cover it at night and open, because I'm Woodson's here, I said, well, how the heck DEQ knows all these things? I think they looked at satellite images to see what you do.
Pretty easy, yes, sir.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion real quickly? If you get the elevation of the highest point you can go, then I can help you with that. If you just get the elevation.
And that's what, I think it was worth the investment. Well, y'all told me, see what you can do, but find out.
But we can't make decisions. We have to-
Right, but it was $3,300 for the survey, to complete the
So
survey.
when the survey's back and we have an idea of how much longevity that is, then.
And he put
we'll get
20 posts in,
TRC.
you see the post.
Yes,
So
we
the-
should send that to TRC.
We need to send that to TRC, so then when they come, they've got, it's a good meeting.
All right, so once I get that done,
It goes to TRC,
yeah, but TRC is with the survey.
so they're part of it.
Mhm.
Okay, so they'll have,
And Bill said he's gonna watch them and make sure that we understand, and he's gonna call me when it's done, so I can get a picture of that, 'cause
Can we see if this is, we don't want them to rush the data collection part, but can we see that once this is done, how quick they can get back into a work session with us?
Oh, yeah, I'll be glad to tell Bill, he's fine with that. Anyway.
All right, number 12 is Administrator Bowen. It's gonna be ADA policy and grievance procedure.
Yeah, this is something I brought y'all's attention a while back. That this is all counties supposed to have this, grievance procedure in place for somebody who doesn't want to grieve. As Mr. Ingram has made clear, and you know how they get involved in the things that are not, yeah. ADA. But anyway, here's the grievance procedure. We got it from other counties. May change some words. Nick worked hard on this.
Is a copy of it in here?
Yeah, last page. All I want to know is if y'all would just take a look at it, Mr. Chairman. If you got any questions or clarify, and I'd like to put it on the agenda to adopt.
Steve, I've read it. I think it's fine unless somebody sees something else.
Anyway, but if you see something, we can amend it at the meeting. You know?
Okay, so we need to
I've also
review this.
reviewed it.
Yeah, you reviewed it.
I reviewed it and altered it, so.
Okay, thank you, you.
So that's one less document
So it'll
Bill
be-
has to read, so he loves to read.
So it'll be in our books
Yes,
next
sir.
week. Okay, all right.
You already looked at
Okay, I'm 8 minutes late. Oh, no, Andrea.
that. Man, she said you had an hour and 59 minutes.
9 minutes. Comments from members of the board. Ms. Norton.
I had a conversation today just to follow up with SBCC. Can't remember the lady's name. It was Mary Elkins with the SBCC's foundation. It's a follow-up to our community meeting, and they told us that they are going to be expanding the facility down there. She said the construction of new driving range is on target, that the federal funding is slow, but the expansion was moving forward. And at that meeting, they mentioned a match. The match from Nottoway County was fulfilled by the land. We don't have to pay any further money. SBCC is paying $681,000. But she expressed their appreciation to Nottoway County for the continued support, and will keep us, or Mr. Bowen, informed with the progress. And I expressed our gratitude and appreciation for their continued partnership. And she also mentioned that Mecklenburg schools have incorporated a fire training curriculum, as we had talked to Dr. Johnson about potentially doing that with the community college as well, starting a fire program, which they are planning to do. So with our fire folks here, there are planning schedules for additional training in the area for fire and EMS.
Mr. Ingram.
Probably the second one I should have. I think the thing with the tax incentives for fire and EMS, that's wonderful. It's not enough, but it's a start, and because what they do for this community, nobody can really pay them enough. On the solar issue, I went to the presentation by Mr. Haney for the Inverness project last night. Right, many more citizens than had been at the night proposal. A lot of good questions were asked. People had some questions about different things. I was glad to see that many people there. And the one we looked at tonight, I'd already seen it. I told them at that meeting when we met with them, I can't vote for it. I worry about the town of Crew's water supply. And that's just, it won't take but one mess up. The town of Crew won't have any water. The state's paying all this money in now to get their water straight. And I mean, when these things are being built and you saw the flood zone, they're showing it right there in the diagram. And I'm like, this is right on top of it. So but that, I know it's money, and the setbacks bother me too. 75 feet, kind of tight.
Mr. Chairman, give me a little leeway. It's like, that's why I kept trying to keep hammering, what's the public hearing? It's what I don't really can't get in my brain is, why are we having site agreements when we ain't had a public hearing, whether it's gonna pass the zoning? You know what I mean?
Well, that's part of the,
So you combine it all into the site agreement, and that's when you go to pass.
Okay, I just couldn't get
So
it
instead
from my
of,
brain.
potentially you'd end up with 20 different public hearings for each thing that you changed off your solar ordinance. So what you do is you take your solar ordinance and say, okay, this piece of property is this size, that size. We have a setback over here on the south end at 250 feet. That all goes into the siting agreement, which goes to the public hearing and gets voted.
But if this project does pass, didn't we figure out it was, and I'm not saying this, Dick, I'm saying, but if we had all three of these projects pass, aren't we gonna be like 80% of our cap money close?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah.
Money close?
Well, megawatts, so.
Okay, that was in our, yeah, it's in our zoning, right? Okay.
And I'm fine with that, and we'll see how these do.
I agree.
If they do all right.
So basically, I'm a vote counter. You abstain. I just heard a no. Uh-oh. Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Roy.
What are you trying to do, you Rook?
Well, I'll follow you up on that a little bit, Dickie. There is some concerns there. This thing has grown exponentially.
Yes.
And it's, I have to really sit down and sink my teeth with the, Crew Town Council and, see how they feel about this as well, because they represent the county crew with where the waters, directly from it. However, we need the money, we need to do our, I say we need the money, that sounds awful to say that like that. But at the end of the day.
We as a county or the landowner having right,
Well, that's
was like jeopardizing the water.
That's right. So there's some concerns there, but ever since I've been here, how can I explain that colorfully but not disturbingly? Since I've been here, I've been trailing behind. I've been on the south bend and on north bend mostly. Welcome. You know, this is it. But I'm very concerned about that. But there's some good information coming as far as the rescue squad, and there's some plans and stuff, guys. We'll talk about that, next Thursday night, and because there's still some more things that could come out of that, before next then. But we'll discuss that a little bit more then. And I'm sorry, Bill.
You're sorry? I appreciate that. I accept your apology.
Darren, I'm flowing. I don't have to say nothing what I was gonna say, John. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you accepting this apology. I don't have to say what I was gonna say. And it just came to me in the last 2 minutes. God bless you, John. And you too, Bill.
Supervisor Toth.
I ain't got nothing to say, man. It just came to me in the last 2 minutes. God be my witness. That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, God spoke to you.
Yep.
He spoke to both of us.
Wonderful.
So that's okay. That's good.
You the old boy I told you was.
From my fire station meeting in Blackstone, there was discussion that everybody would like to see their supervisor once a quarter at their membership meeting. They said a lot of our younger firemen don't know who we are. That's why you're getting your picture taken next week. So
We don't
if
know who
want-
they are
They
either.
can go on the website, they can go on the website or go in, if you want to send one down to the fire station so that they know who we are. And I understand, when I was 20 years old, I didn't know who my politician was. Didn't care.
I saw wearing Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, so, so if you could work it out with your station when they usually have a monthly meeting, membership meeting. So like once a quarter, try to go down and just have a visit. And just any discussions, anybody has any
Good
questions?
idea.
It gives you a chance to go see some folks that you normally wouldn't see, so.
Meet some folks too.
Yeah, meet some folks. So they asked that. And then they still want to do at the board level, some letters of appreciation or some certificates, kind of like we did for Ms. Tucker with her length of service. They asked about having another meeting, and I showed them my calendar. I said, it's tough to have meetings. So the best way that I could think of to do it is if they've decided that somebody has gone above and beyond, if they send a letter to Andrea, an email and say, hey, this person did this, and then certainly we can present it at the meeting. My concern still is that if we participate, we don't know enough, we'll miss something. So it's got to go through one email, go to Andrea's email and say, we have a 20-year service, and can you present a letter? And that way it all goes to Andrea. There's not a lot of people, so we know.
Are you looking at a letter or resolution, all resolution?
Well, it just depends on what,
Yeah.
a
because I'm just
a
saying-
resolution, a certificate of appreciation.
Well, just know, you just can't send a name to Andrew, and I think you guys know that they need a little background so you can make the resolution. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's what I want to make sure I clarify.
So
'Cause
that's-
sometimes people say, hey, do a resolution for John Doe, and her and I, neither one know John Doe.
Don't know, John, well, that's the thing,
Right.
is we need to know.
Yeah,
What
that's right.
what they did. And they told some great stories when I was at the
Good.
meeting about different things that they had done there. So.
Yeah.
That was two things I didn't have. With that, I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion. Yeah.
All in favor, stand up.
Yeah, let's go.
Everything.
She was burning.